about traditional men, like a traditional masculine man, the idea of a traditional masculine experience. What do you think about that? Do you think it still applies today? Do you think it's still necessary? And do you think it should be edited, changed at all? Like, what do you think about that?
Just so we're on the same page, can you give me like a description of what a traditional man would like, what you're the traditional type of man you're describing?
It depends how traditional you want to get, but my idea of what the insert of a traditional man would be today would be um, a man that would then lead the household. So like the idea of a nuclear family with the man being the head of the family, right? But that doesn't come with just being the head of the family. Obviously, it bears all the responsibilities of being the head of the family too. So not it's an earned position. It's not just the demand of having authority. The authority doesn't come without the responsibility of taking care, of providing, of being the person that obviously, if danger presents itself, he throws himself at the danger. You aren't expected as the woman to have anything to do with that. You live a completely safe, taking care of life, where the direction of life is led completely by the man. But then again, the risk and the responsibility and the weight is also on the men. Those things, and then obviously the support comes from the woman on the woman's side and her feminine nature to take care, obviously be a caregiver, be a someone that's attention to detail, someone that makes the home a livable place, a beautiful place, someone that cares and supports for the men to be able to carry these duties out, someone that's able to guide things in a more spiritual and heartful way, rather with the man is not as introspective and not as not as thoughtful in those areas, right? So everybody plays their role, and obviously the role of the man is obviously just more intense because of our nature. What do you think about that type of role in today's time? Is that something for you, or is that something that you see necessary in our current society or current culture? Do you think that's necessary?
Yeah, I think that most of what you said is the definition of what it means to be a masculine man. So, I think a lot of women too, they're coming into this energy where they're saying like, I want a masculine man, I want to live a soft life, I want to be in my feminine energy. Um, Whereas, like 10 years ago, it was a very strong like feminist movement, but I think a lot of people are coming out of that. So I think it's relevant. I think, not everyone has a real grasp or understanding of what masculine and feminine actually means, but I do think God created masculine and feminine energy for a reason. And I think there will always be a necessity for that masculine energy.
Okay. I don't agree with the fact that women are like as a whole leaning towards wanting to just be feminine for their masculine. That I haven't seen that a lot. It seems that
Sure.
women are almost outcasted and shamed for wanting that. It seems that it's like, well, everybody wants to be kind of on an equal playing field, and oh, if a man can do it, so can I. And why should I sit here at the house when I could be working too, making a thing for myself, making my own life, paving my own way, and then my man's also here. It seems like it's always trying to be even Stevens, and I'm constantly having to explain to people why gender is a thing, why there's differences between men and women. Not that there's a positive or negative, or that women are less than men, but that they're different than men, and obviously fall in comparison to men in a lot of different categories. It's a lot easier to explain why men are superior in more categories because it's just physical things. Obviously it's way easier to describe physical things than it is spiritual or mental things. So if I'm able to describe how I can fight better or build things better or carry more weight, like lift like actual physical weight, like those are easier things to describe. Um, so it seems as if there's a discrepancy when I don't think that we should think about it that way. But I mean, the fact that you don't think that that's a problem right now, that's good. That shows that that's
Yeah,
not your thinking, at least.
I was gonna ask, like, it kind of makes me question, like, what women are you around? I mean, that's not women as a whole. Not all women are like this, but unevolved women, I think. I don't want to say unevolved. I don't know how to explain this because feminine energy and masculine energy, like I said, in my case, it's not always subjected to just man and woman. We're both meant to integrate the two. But when it comes to relationships, it's about who do you want, who leads in what energy. And being in a masculine body, you know, more of the more natural way and the more way you want to come because of society is the man would want to lead in his masculine energy and the woman wants to be in her feminine. Considering societal conditions in certain ways we've been programmed, which I think is kind of has had a dilemma of its own, um, then yes, there's some women that are still they want to prove that they're just as good as men because they're coming from a place of insecurity.
Right.
So I think, but on my side of things, I see a lot more women every day who are expressing the fact that they want to stay home with the kids, that they want to be a housewife, that they want to live this soft life. And like I said, I don't think all women understand the compromise that needs to be made if that's to happen. Because this is the thing with polarity, if you want to be in your feminine energy and you want your man to be in his masculine energy, you have to learn to sacrifice your masculine traits in a relationship. You have to learn to trust his masculine energy more than you trust yours. And for a lot of women, that's not the case because the men in their lives growing up betrayed them or hurt them or didn't protect them. So it's really a trust factor thing because even like you would have to trust your woman with feminine qualities in order to be really and fully give that up into yourself in the relationship in order to be very sexually attracted to her. Um, so that's things like, you know, your like what's life force energy. So like feminine energy is all life force energy. So you would trust her to decorate the house. If she says she wants the fucking cabinets pink, you're gonna have to shut up and let it happen. Like that's what it comes down to. You want the feminine energy in your woman, you need to let her express it. If a woman wants a man to be in his masculine energy, she needs to be okay with him wanting to leave the house and go do things. And not be at home all the time with her and the kids. So it is a sacrifice for us to genuinely say, I want the opposite sex to be in this specific polarity. Then we have to learn to sacrifice certain aspects of ourselves in the relationship.
Detachment, which happens a lot, like obviously probably the number one cause of like breaking up flings and talking stages and early relationships is detachment on the side of the man. And a lot of women will kind of write that off as, oh, he's just a player, oh, he's a pit, oh, he just wants, he's not satisfied, he just wants other women, whatever the case may be. But why is that? Because you obviously see men settle into women all the time, and not, a man's not going to die alone. He's going to find somebody that he actually does, stay with and is motivated to stay with. But a lot of the detachment, number one, I feel like it's when they're not allowed to feel like they're a man, obviously. If the rules within the relationship, or at least like the preferences within the relationship are guiding him away from that, if he loses grip or loses control, a man will obviously always want to be in a relationship where he has control, where if you're with a woman every day, that becomes your reality. So if the relationship and the dynamic that you have between each other, if that's not something that resembles control or allows you to be masculine, then you're not going to feel masculine on a day-to-day basis. Your perception of yourself will change. So if you don't enjoy who you are when you're with a woman, you won't want to be with that woman. It's pretty simple. But a lot of people aren't going to realize that because they want their needs too. So if a woman is insecure in her own ways and she needs things to be a certain way, or else she's unhappy, or she's always complaining, or she's threatening to leave, or this and that and the third, then that's just not going to work, because you have to understand that there's two sides to the coin. Now, men don't overtly express themselves about these things too, because some of them, most aren't even aware of them. Most aren't even aware that this is why they're feeling this way, or this is why they're detaching, or this is why they want other things. But that's
also men biologically are not as good communicators. Like there's a difference in our brain between masculine and women and men. And the men naturally they struggle biologically to express their emotions. That is true.
I don't know why this fucking shit keeps fucking. All right, so when this comes out, every so often there's gonna be a fucking black pop up. I don't know why, but I don't feel fixing it. So we're just gonna let that ride.
Okay.
I don't know if it's more so that we're not as good at communicating. I think it's just we're less inclined to communicate. So like we just don't do it as much. We don't feel the need to do it as much. We don't feel that there's a benefit in doing it. As women, kind of like it's obviously you're more guided by emotion, while men are more guided by logic. Not to discredit the logic of any women, but you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I do think that like communication, well, like it's presented as, oh, it's a healthy thing, it's what keeps a relationship alive. Most men have dealt with the pattern of, okay, if I communicate this, a woman will then just have that information. And instead of actually saying, oh, this as a person, I'm going to fix things and I will adjust because of this or whatever the case may be, more so will use that as just ammunition to fuel her own insecurity. So, oh wow, he's distancing himself because of personal reasons and because this is how he reacts in these situations. It's not because of me. And then she'll just then you lose control more so. And obviously, a lot is about control with men. So, in a relationship between a man and a woman, if I'm going to communicate and that's going to cause me to lose control or have less control or give some control up to the woman, he's not going to be willing to do it ever because that's usually the result of things. If I were to communicate my exact feelings and be vulnerable, women will maybe not intentionally, but use that to then, kind of relinquish my control. And, it's not ever really beneficial for us to do it. So I think we see that, and maybe men have tried it like a few times or a lot of times, and it's always usually the same. And even with you, you might consider yourself more enlightened than the average bear, but I mean, you would still do the same thing without you even trying. It's just in your nature to do it.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of like what you didn't ask the question, so I'm like, okay, where do I want to piggyback off of this?
Well, I'm not really. I mean, I guess. Do you agree?
I do. I don't know. Like, I honestly would have to sit and think about this. It's not something that I thought of a lot because, again, I'm hearing a man give me his reality and his perspective for the first time, and I don't live that. So it's definitely something for me to kind of integrate and put two and two together and think, do I do this in my own life, reflecting on it? Um, but I would say that, okay, I know a lot about the energy. So like let me just try to go back to there for you. So like the feminine, the women are like you said, they're more emotionally led because women like to be filled up with things. Hence, we have a vaginal canal, right? And so women are constantly wanting to feel life at the fullest. I want to fully embrace my emotions. I want to be present. I want to feel everything, even if that means me being chaotic as fuck. And men like to be empty. They like to release. So for a man to really be stable and be safe in his vulnerability, he must be connected to something deeper than himself, something that is unchanging, the root of consciousness. All men that are, we'll say, evolved in this life or enlightened usually have some type of meditative practice or something because they need to be so secure in themselves and something that doesn't change, that the woman's emotionality and her constant need for like wanting to experience life, her ups and downs, they can't be affected by that. And I know it sounds like a hard task, and honestly, at the end of the day, that's what women want. A woman doesn't want a man who's always like conforming to her and changing for her in her emotions. Um, even if that's what they say. Even if that's what they say.
I say that all the time, and women will disagree all the time. But I feel like they know it to be true, even if they say they don't, because obviously, like if you meet me for who I am and my energy and your energies attract, and I'm constantly trying to adapt to you instead of you constantly trying to adapt to me, I believe a feminine characteristic is finding a man and using him as like a nest, as like a home to adapt to his energy, and that's why energies are intertwined. That's why you feel attraction to certain people um, because I feel like as a man, you're like a home base for a woman to kind of adapt to, and she feels like she can fit into that well. Um, and also, so I mean, but it's a weird game because a woman will kind of, and naturally so. I'm not saying this is malicious because it's not, but ask for change, don't demand change, but if you were to change, the attraction is gone, which is kind of funny.
Yes, because women essentially, feminine women are looking for masculine men because they want a safe space. They want someone to hold space for them to be themselves. So when women are asking for change, they're really when anyone asks for change, they want to change something about their own reality, about their own self. And a lot of the times we just project things onto other people, though. So as a man, if you're ever unchanging, and that doesn't mean unevolving. You're always growing and maturing. But if you have a foundational basis for you, and that's what masculine energy is, it's that stability. And if you have that about you, when a woman comes to you and is like, my life isn't, I'm not enjoying it, I want change, she's looking for someone who's going to create the space for her and say, okay, go change into who you want to be, and I'll still hold the space for you.
That
But a
kind
lot
of
of women, like you said, they're not at that. A lot of people aren't at that conscious awareness, so they just project it onto you. I don't like what you're doing. I need you to change.
when that's also what I would believe to be the main motivator for women cheating if they were to do that, because in comparison to men cheating, which would be more instinctual, more just off the cuff, which is, it's more led just by desire rather than actual wanting change or wanting to experience change or experience a different reality outside of their current situation, which I would think is more, but it's a higher level of betrayal when a woman would cheat rather than when a man cheats, because it's based on just desire. Like a man can clearly just cheat. If I were to go to Vegas and fuck three whores and then come back, it's doesn't change anything emotionally for me. A man could honestly cheat on you every weekend and then still love you the same, while a woman would not be able to do that.
Well, there's 2 points here. One, yes, me and my partner have talked about that too, where he's like, men is just like we're not thinking about it. Like we're thinking about what we're doing in the like we're just ready to have sex. And women is more premeditated for sure.
Right. And a
definitely
lot of
agree
it
with that.
start with just the desire, the fantasization of just almost a different life. Like when a woman cheats, it's more so that they see themselves with that person, or at least they bond with that person, or
Hmm.
it's a missing link in what they're looking for in their current man, which is
Yeah.
it's more fucked up, because it's almost like you're just kind of you're making up for what your man lacks in a different area, and that's more heartbreaking in my opinion.
Yeah, well, at the root of it, you're looking for an opportunity to be another version of yourself. You're looking for a reason to be another opportunity to be a different manifestation of yourself, a different expression of yourself. So yeah, like I think because different men and also like men, I swear, it always comes back to energy, but yes, it is more premeditated for sure. And I think that's the reason why women cheat is because they get complacent and they think that they're probably not with very masculine men if they do cheat.
Yeah, I would think that, in my experience with the women that I've actually taken seriously, and I haven't been a perfect person, but it seems to me that most women honestly don't really care about cheating. They do care about cheating because of the betrayal aspect of it, but the actual act of me cheating, like if I were to cheat on somebody I have an established relationship with, where she's completely on the hook, it usually women are easy to forgive when it comes to cheating, because they instinctually understand what it is, and they know that it wasn't a betrayal of the relationship. It was giving into their temptations, which is still wrong, but it's less to do with betrayal of your actual trust in your relationship, and it's more to do with he let his temptation win, which is almost a feminine trait in itself, especially if he takes the relationship seriously. But I know a lot of situations to be, most women will not, maybe not most nowadays, but a lot will overlook certain things, like they almost don't want to know, because if they know, then they have to face the reality of, wow, I'm expected to care by, I'm going to be looked down upon if I don't react to this, because I'm expected to hold him to that standard. I'm expected to leave him if he cheats on me, when they don't really want to. They don't feel an actual need to. They love that person and they know what it is. But I feel like a lot of modern women are conditioned to hold themselves to the same standard as men, even though we're not the same. And I'm not promoting cheating, but obviously when it does happen, there's two different sides to the coin. If a woman cheats, that's the relationship is over. And you know as well as I know it. If you're a woman and you go to cheat, you know the relationship's over too. As soon as you do it, the feeling's probably gone too. I can't imagine that a woman cheats and then she feels the same for the man, goes back to him and feels the exact same. Well, if a man does it, that relationship could persist, no problem.
Um, yeah, I mean, what you said was well. I mean, I don't think I've ever actually cheated on anyone. I mean, in like a way of like flirting and texting, yeah, but I've never actually had sex with someone else while I was in a relationship.
No.
So I don't,
Good for you.
I can't really speak on that. But I don't know. I just got a brain fart. Yeah, because I'm trying to think, and you make good points, so I'm trying to integrate them. But yeah, I think that the reason that women is because women know how men are, like you said, instinctually. So I think, well, first of all, let's say men don't tell women and they don't communicate upfront because of fear. I think a life would be a lot easier if men who are in those first and second stages that haven't fully figured out their life purpose and don't know what type of relationship would contribute to that, they upfront say, "Hey, um, I still want to have sex with other women," or "Hey, I found this girl attractive."
Do you understand why
And
we
it's
don't do that?
yeah, because you guys are probably afraid, right? That the woman is going to leave you. She's going to judge you. She's going to shame you. She's not going to love you anymore.
Well, there's that. There's also the thought of if I'm doing this, and even if she does say yes, now am I going to be able to trust you? Am I going to be able to trust you a night out with the girls, knowing that I fuck other women and you feel justified in your own sense to do maybe what you want to do? And man's also thinking that even if it was agreed upon that I'm able to fuck other women and you're going to look the other way, am I going to be able to get loyalty out of you? There's no way to actually ensure that, and it's always going to be a constant fear of theirs.
Right. So, like I said, it comes down to trust. It comes down to trusting yourself and the other person. And it comes down to living in your truth. Like,
But where is that
if
ever present? I don't think I've ever met a woman where I'm able to full like if I were to present that as an idea. And I've had girls actually tell me, listen, don't cheat on me. Don't do that. If you want to fuck other women, tell me and then we'll talk about it and then we can work through that. I'm not gonna leave you. Da, 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 da. I've actually like recently had someone say, so but I still wouldn't do it because that's just
you think,
that's
if
like
you
when
think it's
your parents say, you're like,
it's too good to
all
be
right,
true.
if you did something wrong, just tell me. I won't be mad. I'm not gonna ground you as long as you tell me the truth. I'm not gonna do anything. And you're like, all right, dad, I snuck out of the house. Give me your phone. You know, like it's one
Right.
of those fucking things.
It definitely comes down to the self-love of the woman and the understanding of herself. And I think if you're a man who who is at that level in his life where you're like, hey, like I really love different types of women and I don't want to subject myself to just one. Chances are that you've attracted a female that is also on that same level, in terms of her evolution. So it's like, or lower than you. So you need to be able to read her well. You need to like really know. And then at the end of the day, if she's not with that, then she's just not meant to be in a relationship with you. But I think that men don't understand that women respect the truth as much as they do because of being reprimanded in the past. But at the end of the day, if you tell the woman the truth, she won't lose respect for you. And as a man, that's what you want the most.
Yeah, but that's
A man
also like
wants
you just said.
respect more than he wants love.
You also have to understand you're a woman telling me this as well. You just said before, we just made a point how if a woman demands change for you, wants change for you, she doesn't really want it. She wants the truth, or she's asking for the truth, but she doesn't really want it. She'd rather be sold a dream because the fact is that no, especially right now, no girl wants to live in a reality where they can't express exactly what's going on to her friends and everyone around her. If you're a girl and you're in a situation like that, like we just described, if she were to go to her homegirls and say, "Hey, this is what's going on," she's going to be reprimanded from her friends and everything. She's going to be looked down
But
upon. She's going to be casted out in a way where it's like, you're stupid, you're goofy. Why are you doing this? And no girl wants to. Everyone wants to brag about their relationship. Nobody wants to do that.
but
That's the number one thing with women. It's more so that they choose people that they are proud of, and can use as a status symbol with her friends around her. Especially that's why if it's a guy that a lot of girls want, even if he's less not as good looking as this guy, if everybody wants this guy, that girl will feel proud and more inclined to be with that guy just because of how it is. It's a social thing. And women view things a lot more socially than men do. While men would rather have the very attractive girl that nobody's been with, while a woman would want to be with the guy that almost everyone's been with, and that's a fact.
yeah, there's an explanation. There's a lot of points to be made there. There's a lot of points to be made there. Women like men that have, okay, it's very weird, but women want a man that's in their masculine energy, but women are attracted to men that know how to maintain feminine energy. So a man that has a lot of money, a man that has a lot of jewelry, a man that has a lot of bitches, like that's feminine energy. And the fact that he has the space to maintain that is what is attractive to a woman because it says he can hold the space for my feminine energy. He knows how to take care of it.
You don't think it
He
has
knows how to
anything to do with
possess
the
it.
actual woman itself, like in the mind space of social climbing and things like that. You don't think it has anything to do with just the culture of women? Because obviously women will see the world and then the world of women, and the world of
Yes.
women almost matters more to them because they're validated on their choices based on, like if they feel like a certain style of clothing is really cool looking, but they don't wear it until they see the popular girl wear it, and now that the popular girl's worn it, now it's accepted. Okay, now I could do that, and now I could do that comfortably because this is somebody that if I did everything this person did, I would be the person I want to be because I would like to be this person. So it's more so like if there's a guy that, oh, he's cute, I like him a lot, but I don't really see him as somebody to date. But then the popular girl shows in. I'm just saying popular girl as a placeholder for the person that you look up to or idolize. But that person shows interest in that person. Oh, now that person's okay to date. Now it's totally fine. Now I'm gonna put my I'm gonna act out how I actually feel about this person. But it wasn't accepted before. You see that all the time. So I feel like that's the
Yeah.
same thing.
But it comes down to how well does a woman know herself. A woman who knows herself and lives in her truth is not going to be, um, is not going to fluctuate to the desires of other people. She's going to be so rooted in herself and knowing of herself.
We're talking in generalities for sure. Obviously, there's women that this doesn't apply to.
I see what you're saying. The majority of the population, right?
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
for sure. Which is what I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis. I mean, obviously, you know, you could find that person, which is great. I hope everyone does, but there's not enough for them to go around. So just like there's really not everyone's gonna find somebody like that because it just doesn't exist. Most women are a product of their environment.
As do most men, but I will say that the more that you focus on evolving yourself, the more evolved people you're going to attract. So I think if you're having an issue with the women that you're attracting, you have to question like, why are these the women that I am attracting in my life?
I guess so. I guess so. I mean, it has to do. I mean, if you just look at it logically, it has to do where you are,
Mhm.
and
Which has to do with who you are.
right? Because you could be in the right place but be the wrong person. But mostly where you are. I mean, like you're not going to meet the right
But
person if you're always at
right, but where you are determines who you are as a person. If you're a person who doesn't believe in drinking, you're not going to be out at the bars. If you're not a person who likes social events, you're not going to go and go into big crowds. So if you're a person that is very high standard for themselves, you're not going to be eating at McDonald's. Therefore, you're not going to meet a girl that eats McDonald's.
I guess this would only apply to somebody with ample free time because if you work every day until you go to bed and then you go to work, gym, sleep, where are you meeting the person that like you're kind of stuck with your same social circle?
At the gym, you can meet a girl that perhaps has the same health, goals as you.
The equation, and you're just I'm just saying.
Well, where you work determines
Because
where you work and where you go to the gym determines who you are too. The person who works out at Planet Fitness is not the same person that works out at a gym that they pay $150 a month for a membership for.
yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I'm just saying that that majority of men, I guess my only point is majority of men are dealing with general women and aren't going to
Because the majority of men are general men.
women. Like it's almost impossible to find. I mean, you will find them, right? But then there's also other factors involved. Are they are they single? Are they attracted to you as well? Are they somebody that you're attracted to? Are they physically attractive enough for you? Do they have a history that you don't agree with? Are they local? Do they this, that, the third? Do they have plans to move out of state? Whatever the fuck. So like, it's not as simple as saying just find the right woman that has all this enlightenment. You kind of have to adapt to today's times instead, or just
Yeah.
know how the general population works, and then being able to as a man manipulate that to your advantage so that you're able to actually navigate this world because there's no other way to do it. Um, Trust me, I've tried. Like, there's no other way to do it
I
unless you're on
don't.
top of it. Because there's wolves, Jada, and there's sheep. And if you're not a sheep, you're a wolf. You're not a wolf, you're a sheep. You understand?
The general population of men are dealing with general women because they are general men. They're average men, so they're attracting average women. That's just
What
the
are you
way
saying?
life
What are you
goes.
saying, Jada?
Huh?
What are you saying? What are you saying about me?
That you must not be evolved to your degree of liking if you're not attracting the degree of women that you like.
I'm not saying, obviously, I like them for the fact that I fucked with them. But
Okay, and let's also point out that a man that finds a partner that he loves is probably not going to be the same woman that he's very sexually attracted to.
you don't think that can coexist?
It can, but it needs to come down to what are your priorities? Do you value your woman raising your kids more, or do you value her being good in bed? And so the
That's
woman,
almost a fucked up thing because it's like, at the end of the day, are all men settling?
some men are, yeah, a lot of men, second stage men, from what I'm learning and understanding, they become um, uninspired monogamists. So they just shut off the inspiration that feminine energy gives them and they settle for the one variety, the one version of feminine energy that exists in their reality. But when a man is very comfortable with and knowing of his purpose, he understands what does he need several types of women or is there one type of woman he needs and to what level priority does that relationship come in his life?
And it's also a vicious circle because it's like well, if I were to do that, let's say, and it's the right woman that maybe doesn't sexually fuel me as much as other women do. If that energy goes both ways, and then the woman's not getting what she wants out of the relationship, and it kind of falls flat. So I mean, I guess all
I
men
mean, I
are
guess
kind
it,
of reaching out and hoping for the same for both, if possible.
I don't think anything's impossible. I think it is possible, but at certain points of your life, you're going to have to sacrifice certain things in your relationship. So, like right now, like me, like I have kids. So, my sex life is not at the top of my list. And I don't think, a man who wants me to raise his kids to the best degree, he would have to understand that and he'd have to sacrifice his huge desire for sex for that to happen. Or we'd have to come to an understanding of, I can't sacrifice. This is a huge part of me, and me saying, okay, well, this is what I'm willing to give in return for what you're able to give me. So it only falls flat and fails because of our societal conditioning and notions of what a relationship should look like and what it should be.
Right. I feel like that might be pessimistic of you. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like there's more to be had than that. I
No, I think it's possible. Like I'm not saying we can't have a great sex life, but at the same time, I am saying that we can't have the fun and thrilling sex life that the girl maybe at work kind of trickles and inspires you. You guys can be sneaky. You guys can have sex at work. Like that's enticing. That's a different level of feminine energy that the woman you come home to isn't always able to give you. And even if we go out in public and we try to be sneaky and have sex in the bathroom, oh look, we have two kids. We can't bring it. That's not possible.
No, I get that, and especially it's weird when you have a bond with somebody too. It's almost like you can't have that same thing because the only reason that exists is because of the mystery. And if there's no mystery, then that level but I feel like that's almost unenlightened, as you would say too, because like having a great sex life, it changes and evolves from what that baseline is. So obviously it starts as like oh, we shouldn't be doing this. This is so mysterious and what's gonna happen, da da da. But if it just stayed that way, it would never work with anybody. That's why men, because it's simple to think like that. Oh, I like that, so I'm gonna do that with everybody. But that means you have to meet new people. You got to do it with new people all the time. But it evolves, it changes. So like the connection that you have with somebody can heighten or deter your sex life, obviously. So you have a better connection with somebody, it can make your sex better. It can make it more so, but it's a different perspective on it. It's definitely not the same. It's not as mysterious, but it's good in a different way because it has to change in order for it to persist. It has to change, has to evolve. So I mean, I
So
don't know. Like that's a connection that it's unexplained. It's something that you don't talk about, but you just know when you have that person. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I think the key is learning how to first you have to know what your purpose is, and then you have to transmute the sexual arousal that certain other women give you and use it to inspire you in some other aspect of your life and your purpose because going without the need, okay, to say that I'm not attracted to the girl that I work with is denying yourself and it's not listening to your body. Like, and men tend to do that. They're like, I'm just going to shut down my attractiveness or convince myself not, or I'm going to flirt with her and not fully have sex with her and therefore communicate to my body that I don't deserve or I'm not willing to commit to the full sexual release. Now, what does that say about me as a man who wants to be empty more than anything? I'm denying myself. I'm denying my own biology. So you need, if you find the person that you want to be with for your life and you can't live without them and they're not willing to compromise on you having sex with other people, then you need to find a way to channel that energy
Are you
into
willing to
something
compromise
else.
personally?
It's something I've been like sitting with. My partner hasn't presented. We've talked about it in the past, but we never fully went through with it. Um, but I feel like if it comes to a point where I'm compromising my self love, or someone else's desires of their own life, then yes,
It's weird
because
because like it's a boundary that you don't know is crossed until it's crossed. So
right. I
maybe you're
mean,
okay
I
with
feel
it in
like
theory, and then when it happens, like maybe you're resentful. And I feel like you don't want to be resentful. So that's a tough
right. I think it would be difficult transition at first for most people if they start off in a monogamous relationship because like my ego is involved in it. Like what I've attached myself to a certain image. I have masculine energy, so like I'm a little bit possessive in a way. I'm competitive, like you know what I'm saying. So I would look at that as low key a challenge if I'm still existing on stage one or two. But in order for that me to fully integrate that, I would have to continue evolving and loving myself as a person because my desire needs to be more so on myself and my purpose in life than it needs to be on a man. And once it gets to that point, then I think I would be so confident and secure in myself that I wouldn't really be thinking about what you're doing with other women.
right. But do you think you're at that point right now?
Not exactly. I do think I'm getting close. I think I'm getting close by the way things are like how I'm feeling about myself and just the way that I can compartmentalize and integrate this information. I don't I like if he came to me tomorrow and said, "Hey, like I want to have an open relationship," I'd be like, "Okay, like I get that." But then it'd be a different story
Would
if
that
he's
be
like,
open on
"Hey,
both
so
sides though for you? Like how would you navigate that?
I wouldn't have as much a desire as a man, I think, to explore. I'd rather explore with
But would that
myself
be the
more than
terms?
anything.
Would that be the
Huh?
terms? Like if you were to do it, like whether you have the desire to do it or not, would those be the terms that you agree to?
Be a slave to somebody personally. Like I want to be like, oh my god, yeah, okay, you can have sex with whatever you want. And if I come across somebody that I like, but I'm gonna stop myself. No. If that's the case, then it's like we're both open to exploring new versions of ourselves and seeing what other people can offer us. So I'm not gonna be a slave while you get to live in your freedom. That's not
Would
fair.
you
Why do
want?
you why do you get to be who you desire to be and I don't?
Right. Well, I guess so, but that's almost taking a step back though, and because would you would you admit that if you were to have sex with somebody else and it's known on the man's side that that relationship is pretty much over? I think you kind of conceded to that point already.
I don't know. Like, I don't think that if you're an involved man, I don't think the relationship necessarily has
Yeah, I
to be
don't think
over,
that's
but I'm not a man, so I don't know. And at the same time, I'm not an involved man, I'm not an uninvolved man, I'm not a man. It don't know I have masculine energy. So I can't fully conceptualize that. Like, I know that men don't want to know that another man fucked their girl. Like, that's crazy. It's like you let someone else feed off your life force energy. You let somebody else be inside of you. Like, that's kind of crazy because women wear the lock and the man has the key. So it's like you found another key that fits. So it's like I get that it's psychologically and biologically a lot different, but at the same time, I don't think that a man who knows his purpose and is secure fully in himself would really write off a woman because maybe she had sex with another guy. But I
maybe,
don't
yeah,
know. Again, I'm not a man.
maybe he would overlook it, but it's obviously not optimal. It's not something that he would choose, and I don't care what man you are, you're not gonna press the yes button versus rather than the no button on that one. But so I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not saying that he wouldn't leave or that he would leave for sure, but I'm just saying that I don't know, it would take a toll. So it's something to think about for sure. But
A woman who is confident enough in herself to say, yeah, like go explore the like other women that inspire you is secure in herself to not be afraid if she loses him for her own happiness.
yeah, would you? I mean,
So that's what it comes down to.
that perspective isn't a popular perspective though.
Mm-mm. I don't think so. I don't think it's popular, but I do think it's rooted in more love than anything.
Right, which is why I gave you credit at first too, just because I see that you're at least willing to come to terms with like why men are the way they are, which is very important, and nobody really cares why. They just care about what the result of things. So obviously the motivator behind it is very important. Like that's why it is how it is. You're not gonna change it ever. You're not gonna change the root of a man. Like it's not gonna happen. But you can go to understand it, and then you can navigate that way, which I think it's a much more healthy approach than people that just want to complain and then like, oh, I'll find a new guy. I'll find a new guy. I'll find a new guy. It's the same thing every time. Like you're not, and then you'll find a guy that's better at hiding it. You'll be like, I finally found him, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like to know how to play the game. And the best way to play is not to play it, but I have to learn how to navigate and I have to understand the players in the game in order for me to be so above it and to beat the final boss type thing. So I think and in some way it's ego driven, it's competitive of me. It's just like, I want the truth. And I think I can't have the truth if I'm not willing to explore the truth of the people in my